I need a 30 for 30 to show that I'm different like Jordan and Pippen, you bitch. I need a 30 for 30 like Jalen and Webber. Nobody gon' fuck on my clique. I need a 30 for 30. All right, I'm happy to have my brother Ray Cesar Leo back with us today for another installment of How About Them Cowboys with Ray. What up, man?
Man, I'm okay. Given what we're about to talk about for a little bit, I'm all right. I'm feeling good, man. Always glad to hop on the show though, for real.
Right. Well, I appreciate it, man. Well, I hate to even ask you about it coming off a loss.
Yeah.
But part of me kind of feel like, even though you picked the Cowboys last week and everybody saw that.
Yep.
But you've spoken so highly of Russell in the past. I don't think you was shocked. Am I right with that?
Man, you spot on. At the end of the day, I knew it would be that way. I knew it'd be a shootout because our defense was busted up from the back end. So like from the defensive backs to the linebackers, we really stretched thin. Our defensive line did a really good job against Russell, man. If you notice, he didn't get
he had like
3 sacks. He had 3 sacks, man. He leads the NFL in sacks right now. First year back in 5 years, Alden Smith leads the league in sacks. So he is living up to whatever hype he had in his mind. He's lived up to mine and anybody else's, man. This dude is a real deal. But man, going back to Russell Wilson, I saw that. I knew that would happen given what he was going to be facing in our defense and just who he is. I said it before. I said it a couple episodes back. I feel like we were talking about your guy, A-Rod. Those two quarterbacks, and you saw them both do it this past week. When they are on, there's nobody better. Your guy, Aaron Rodgers, was torching the Saints, right? Without his best receiver, he was torching the Saints, taking no-name guys that I've never heard of before, and making them household names. We talked about that.
That's
Russell Wilson has better receivers without Devontae Adams when he's playing for the Packers. Russell has better receivers. Lockett. I think a lot of people saw how special he is, and we know DK is just a man child from the SIP, right? So it's just the name of the game.
He just had that brain fart real quick when he going into the end zone. Yeah.
Right. But at the end of the day, that is the reality of the Seahawks, and they have, like I said, in my opinion, the best football player in the game. I'm in another group text where I told them the first team to 35 points wins the game.
So you predicted a shootout, huh?
And that's what it was. It just so happened the Seahawks got to 35 before we did on their last drive. You can't leave that much time for Russell. And more importantly, you can't just do a 4-man rush. Now, I know that may sound crazy because you say, well, you just said your defensive backfield is depleted. So why would you blitz and leave them in one-on-one coverage? Well, when we're talking about the last drive, you cannot leave Russell Wilson in the pocket for 5 and 6 seconds. 2.5 is the NFL average. That's still too much time. If you give him 5 seconds in the pocket, he's going to find somebody. No matter what kind of coverage you dial up. And that's what happened. He just marched down the field on us.
Well, going back to Alden Smith, to a bright spot, even in a loss. How does his performance I guess the answer is self-explanatory. You say he's leading the league in sacks. Yep. But just for perspective, when y'all having Tank Lawrence, a guy
who's overrated. You ain't gotta say he's overrated.
Whoa, I was trying to
I know you weren't asking that. I'm just giving you that. That's free.
I was trying to find a way to work into asking your opinion on it.
He's overrated.
Thank you.
He's overrated. I mean, at the end of the day, for the money that they pay him, all right, they paid this man when he got paid. And I know it's not about how good you are. It's about, is it your time to get paid, and can a franchise afford to lose you? That's how you get your money in the NFL. And listen, when I say he's overrated, man, if I saw Tank Lawrence in person, I would say that to him, but in a way that is not disrespectful. And what I mean by that is this:
I feel you, of course.
I don't think Tank Lawrence is a bad player. I just think the expectation of Tank Lawrence is that he's supposed to be like Khalil Mack, Aaron Donald when he plays on the edge. He's just not that guy. He's not a top-notch A+ pass rushing defensive end. To me, Tank does way better in run stop, if you ask me. Like he's really good. He's an above average edge guy when it comes to stopping the run. But guess what? they don't pay you top 5 money to be a good tackler on the edge. They pay you top 5 money to be a dominant pass rusher. And he just hasn't done that. He has not done that. He hasn't done that in a few years. Some of it is age, right?
So
But some
that year, what kind of year did he have going into when y'all paid him then? Because this would be year 2 of underperforming. Seemed like it. So did he go? I know Madden 20. I ain't got Madden 21 yet. I'm waiting on the PS5.
But you and I talked about him on Madden 20 all the time.
God, you got to double team that dude.
or he's gonna have like 5 or 6 sacks like Khalil Mack. But again, that's because of the year he had prior. The team that does Madden, they said, okay, well, the way he played the previous year,
so he went off in.
Yeah, we have to give him stats like he's that guy. I've always heard the term that when NFL players, when they're playing for that big contract, they go dumb, right? But when they get it, they kind of, I don't want to say fall off, but they just realize that I don't need to go as hard because I'm not gonna. I don't want to run the risk of getting hurt, whatever it might be. I don't know what Tank Lawrence's head is, but I've seen way better, and I think if he's being honest with himself, he's seen way better. Now, again, I still say to you, he is one of the better all-around defensive linemen in the league. But for me to sit on this show and say he's the best pass rusher, a top-tier pass rusher, he's not. He's not. At the end of the day, Aldon Smith is our best pass rusher today. And he's missed 5 years of action. Now, he's superbly talented, which is why he can come back and just do what he's doing, because he's going up against the same offensive lineman that the rest of his teammates are, and he's destroying guys. He's playing both sides. We just picked up Everson Griffin from the Minnesota Vikings, who's been a top-tier, defensive lineman for a couple of years in the league. He's come over and done his thing. At the end of the day, Aldon Smith has come back, and I think what that is, we talked about guys playing hard for contracts. Well, Aldon Smith is just thrilled to be back in the league, right? To have another chance to make good money. The brother has said, he's done his time mentally, right? He's done his time mentally.
Weed, or did he do something else?
No, it was
a domestic thing.
I can't remember if he had anything domestic. I know he had some drug related things that got him kind of suspended a couple of times.
Yeah.
But to his credit, man, I'm a guy, and I do play by play on the side. And I'm a guy, man, if you do something that's not good on the field, I'm not one of those guys to pat you on the back every time you mess it up. No, I'll call you out on it. But if you do the right things and you improve, man, I think that deserves credit too, right? Like if you can dish it out, or you can criticize or critique somebody, then when they improve and do well, give people the props. And I just think Aldon Smith has done everything the right way. He's done his time, if you will. He's reflected and said, man, what is it? Is it people? Is it circumstance, or is it me? And the brother said it was me. he said it was me that was causing the problem. And I think what you see now is obviously just a guy that's more mature. And since he hadn't played for 5 years, let's talk about this too. Since he hadn't played for 5 years, his body is kind of fresh. For whatever you think he might have lost a step, well, he's still beating guys because he's getting 3 sacks in an NFL game against one of the more elusive quarterbacks in the league.
Well, now I heard you say y'all went and picked up somebody. You picked up Griffin.
Mm-hmm.
Are you upset that y'all didn't go get Earl Thomas? Is that somebody you wanted, or you didn't want that? I don't want to call him cancer. I really don't know what went on.
Yeah, right.
But a lot of outlets are saying that he might have been cancerous in the locker room or something like that. So, is that somebody you wanted?
With this team, I don't know. Just judging by what the league says, I don't know if it's the best thing to bring a guy like Earl into that locker room, because they have some good leadership. Don't get me wrong. Like Dak's an excellent leader. Zach Martin on the offensive line. Tank Lawrence is a good leader. Jalen Smith is a good leader, our linebacker. Those guys are good leaders. They need playmakers, especially on that backside of the defense, in that secondary, those safety spots. I just don't know if the money is worth it, because you're gonna have to pay them some decent money to get them in there, and I just don't know if that plus what allegedly happened in Baltimore is worth the investment. If you're talking about Jerry Jones, it ain't my money; it's his money. So, yeah.
Last thing before I get you off here, man, I wanted to ask you this.
Yep.
as I think you pointed out, if it wasn't for that bonehead onside kick and the Falcons being the Falcons,
yeah. As you saw again, as you saw again,
Falcons
we
being the
talked.
Falcons.
We
Yeah,
talked about it last week. It's all about culture, and they didn't
you
even.
tried to tell them, did you?
They didn't even fix the culture last week. That's the crazy thing. Like, man, when you lose like that and it's embarrassing on national TV to America's team, you
Running
would
back.
think practice and
Running
like and film study would be lights out. Nah, they just came right back out, had another huge lead
Let the
against
backup come on in there.
and let the backup come in because Mitch Trubisky is so trash that they had to bring in the backup, and the backup brought him back.
Hey, I call that boy Nick Foles Mr. Jody. Like Marvin Cease called himself Mr. Jody.
Yeah.
If you're not doing your job,
I'm just doing my job. That's Nick Foles mentality.
That's what Nick gonna do. If you're not doing your job, Nick gonna come on in there and do your job. Now, when Nick's job himself, we don't know.
That's right. That's right.
But you ain't doing your job.
I will do your job.
He can be the cleanup man, like Betty Wright with the cleanup woman.
That's right. That's right.
Nah, this boy gonna come up in here and be the cleanup man real quick. But
yeah.
If it wasn't for that brain fart or yet another one from the Falcons, y'all could easily be 0-3.
Yes, and that's the real. Yeah, that's real. That's real. What you're saying.
So, what's your prediction going forward? Who do y'all have next week? By the way,
this coming up week, we have the Cleveland Browns. Got the Cleveland Browns at home, and it's not your father's or grandfather's Cleveland Browns, by the way.
Okay.
So it's not one of those things where you say, okay, y'all get back on the winning track. I'm not a huge fan of Baker Mayfield. I still don't think he's the real deal.
I had him in fantasy last year. Trust me, I understand those sentiments.
But Baker's got weapons. Baker's got Odell, Jarvis Landry. He's got two stud running backs, like 2A running backs, right? So whether Baker's the truth or not really doesn't matter. Their new coach, I can't think of his name, Stefanski, that used to be the OC in Minnesota, is a run first guy. So he knows how to box in Baker Mayfield and keep him safe. So this is not a gimme game by any means. I do think we'll win it. So look, my brother tell you, I'm not one of those Cowboy fans, man, that just picks the Cowboys every week. I really did think that they were going to beat the Seahawks. I knew Russell was going to do what he did, but I also knew that their defense is not what we remember. We remember the Legion of Boom. They're not that anymore. They're Bobby Wagner, KJ Wright, Jamal Adams, but the rest of those guys are really average. Like their defensive line is bad. So I knew Dak would have time. I knew our receivers would win because we got the best trio in the NFL. So I knew that they were going to win. And you saw that all up and down the field. Dak was just as impressive as Russell Wilson. He had the late pick. I mean, that's just something you got to throw. And then the cornerback made one good play in that game. But to me, Dak had an excellent game. I do feel like it's thin ice, though. And it just depends on what kind of Cowboy fan you are. You can look at it and say, man, we could easily be 0-3, like we just said. Or you could truly look at it and say, man, we could be 3-0 if our coaching would just utilize common sense. Like we go back to the Rams game. If you kick three, then you're not forced to try to get back down there, and win the game all of a sudden. The Falcons game, if you don't fumble the ball 4 or 5 times in the beginning, then the Falcons are not a disciplined team. So if you get up ahead of them, they're probably not going to come back anyway. In the Seahawks game, again, you just got to go toe to toe. You got to prove who you are. Now, that's a lot of ifs. Ifs don't get it done in the NFL. Point blank period. So the reality is the Cowboys are 1-2 with another good team headed their way. I looked at the schedule before the season started. I wrote down my picks. I actually meant to text it to you today. Okay. So you could see it. And what I want to do is just let you have it. We're not going to show it to people right now. Okay. But I'm just going to let you have it. It's time stamped in my iPhone so people can't say, oh, man, he went and wrote that down after the season was over. Right. No, it's time stamped. So people can see what I said the Cowboys were going to do. And I said, and you'll see it for yourself, I said the Cowboys would have a bumpy early part of the season because, like I said, they They need a preseason more than some other teams. We've talked about that, right?
Right.
They need a preseason more than some others. I don't necessarily think that the Seattle Seahawks need a preseason because they have the best football player in the game. I don't think the Green Bay Packers need a preseason. The Cowboys they're one of them teams that they have to have it to get themselves in the right rhythm. I look at it is that the Cowboys got to survive this early stretch because we're without our starting left tackle, our starting right tackle, one of our starting linebackers, another one of our starting linebackers. We're now down one of our starting defensive backs for 3 weeks. So we just plugging and playing. Like, man, in that game, we had 1, 2, 3. We had 4 guys playing out of place on the offensive line. The center moved to right guard. We had a backup center that we just drafted. We sat our starting right tackle, who's really our backup right tackle. We sat him because he was just atrocious in the beginning. And then I told you about that left tackle last week that hadn't played on the left side since high school. Right. So we're talking about out of all of those guys, one guy, the left guard. The left guard is the only guy who's playing in position. My all-pro right guard had to play right tackle, something he hadn't done since college.
Right.
Now, we were able to do all of that and go toe-to-toe with a team that I think can compete for a Super Bowl. Now you can see why I have the confidence in Dak and his squad to say, well, they can overcome some adversity. It's not about that. The players can get it done. We know our weaknesses as players, but do the coaches know? This is the one league, and I'll continue to say it, this is the one league where you have to have good coaching. The NBA Finals are about to start. The Lakers are there, and I still don't know who the real head coach is of the Lakers. I know that's your squad. Is it Vogel? Is it Jason Kidd? Is Ty Lue still there? I really don't know. I really don't.
All right.
I don't. I'm just telling you, I don't.
You know, Ty Lue over there with the Clippers, man.
Oh, he with the Clippers?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I'm kidding.
I know. Getting out on my boy.
Yeah. But and don't get me wrong, Spoelstra. I think Spoelstra's an excellent coach, but players win championships in the NBA, man. It's just that's a player-driven league.
But
in the
NFL,
NFL,
like we talked about, but we played high school basketball together.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we've told the people that yet, but we played high school basketball together, and you played high school football. Now, if you think about it, and you were the point guard.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we had some plays, but if I pull a rebound and toss it to you, you finna make the decision. Yeah. You might not even get us into the play. You might just go down and transition and make something happen. Yeah. That's basketball, though. In football, every time y'all snapping the ball, y'all running whatever, the head coach is calling, unless you bucking the coach and just doing your own thing. You know what I'm saying? And they get you into a world of trouble in football. So, yeah, the coaches have supreme control. It's the only sport that I think that we know the head coach, offensive coordinator.
Talk about it.
We know the defensive coordinator. Yep. We end up knowing sometimes if it gets real, we end up knowing offensive line coaches.
That's true.
And special teams coaches. We end up knowing DB coaches and quarterback gurus and stuff like that. And in basketball, you rarely know who the assistant coach is.
Yeah.
Who the lead assistant is.
And coaching is so important, man, because I mean, let's just look at Monday Night Football from a couple of days ago, man. We're talking about Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson, 2 MVPs, two studs in their own right. You know what I mean? Like 2 guys that cannot be stopped. Like we get that, we see that. But the Chiefs drew up a game plan to get Lamar Jackson out of his rhythm. That's coaching. There is no defense that can stop Lamar Jackson if you just put him out there and say, go get him. He will embarrass you. Same thing for Patrick Mahomes. You have to draw up stuff, man, to figure these guys out. And that shows the power of coaching. It's the reason why the New England Patriots are still winning without Tom Brady. Everybody was worried about what's going on. Belichick's still moving. Now, he got a stud in Cam, but he's still moving. That's coaching, man.
Yeah.
That's coaching.
And a lot of people like to besmirch Bill Belichick. I remember I think I told you about that when I called in to the Odd Couple with Chris Broussard and Rob Parker, and he tried to throw at me, well, what was Bill Belichick without Brady? He had a rough time in Cleveland.
Yeah.
But Tom Brady was a 6th round draft pick without Bill Belichick.
Exactly.
And Bill Belichick had won a Super Bowl, at least one Super Bowl, with the New York Giants as the DC, right?
Yeah.
And we just talked about how important that type of stuff is.
Yeah, it's imperative. It's imperative that you have some good coaching, man. You can go throughout just pick this past Super Bowl winners, man. Just keep going. If your coaching is not there, you'll see a 28-3 lead being blown by the Atlanta Falcons because they don't have good coaching. You have to have it, and the bonehead plays have got to stop. Now, every week, a couple of plays allow me to give Mike McCarthy an out, but this is the last week. So
okay, all right. So we're putting it on something.
So Tony.
Are you saying week 3 was it?
No,
week 4.
This was it. No, this was it. This week that occurred versus the Seahawks. That was it. I'm letting them pass because Tony Pollard feels the kickoff, bobbles the kickoff, and doesn't know whether he should bring it out or try to step back and take a touchback.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, that was
Zeke Elliott loses his footing, and that's a safety. Those things add up, right? I'm going to give him a pass, but that's the last week. Week after they lost to the Rams, Mike McCarthy went on the air when his weekly press conference said the honeymoon phase is over. It's on now, pretty much. We're going into week 4. So if the honeymoon phase is over for the players, when is it over for you? To me, it's over. Everything from this point on falls on him because it can't be on Dak. It can't be on Dak anymore. Because all Dak has done is throw for 400 yards every game. Right?
Right.
At the end of the day, this man went toe-to-toe with Russell Wilson. And I looked at him and said, man, he out here balling. He was throwing dimes. Dak was throwing dimes. The last pick he threw, he had to avoid a sack. Like he literally threw a 300-pounder off of him, kept his footing, and just had to throw it because he was running out of time.
Right.
But Dak Prescott is balling. All right.
So we got a big statement.
It's on McCarthy.
From her brother Ray Caesar Leo, a lifelong Cowboys fan. So he's one of the pulses of Cowboys Nation, especially around here in Mississippi. And he has put it on notice. The honeymoon is over for Mike McCarthy. He expects some results.
Because listen, here's what it comes down to. Bro. If Mike McCarthy is going to do that, if you're going to pay him that kind of money, you can hire me as a head coach. I can do that. I can say, let's go for it on every 4th down. That seems irrational, and I'll take a pay cut. You don't even have to pay me what you pay Mike McCarthy because y'all might say, oh man, this dude don't know what he's talking about. He don't have coaching experience. Okay, well I'll take a pay cut.
So if he don't get it together, really y'all going from a guy who you definitely could have done his job because all he did was, let's go, guys.
That's it.
Y'all called him Coach Clapp, didn't it?
Yeah, call him Coach Clapp.
And now you got a guy who think it's Madden and want to go for it every 4th down.
What kills me about this dude is that he wants me to believe that he spent the year off studying analytics.
That's what he told you.
All right, man. That's cute. That's real cute. Right. But I don't need an analytic to tell me if I'm down 3 and we're in field goal range and I have a above average kicker.
Right.
Just kick it. Like, I don't care what the analytics say, 84. Just kick it.
Right.
Like, don't make this thing harder than it has to be. This, at the end of the day, that's a gimme. Those are gimmies. There has not been a situation yet, in my opinion, in my non-coaching experience opinion, there has not been a situation that has happened in the first 3 games where analytics are necessary. They're night and day calls. 4th and 5, we need to punt it. Or if we're gonna go for it at 4th and 5 in midfield, we're not faking these guys out. Let's just bring on the offense and do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the difference between an analytic and a sound coaching decision. So we'll see. He's on the clock with me. He ain't on the clock with Jared. So at the end of the day, that's all that matters.
Well, that is. How about them Cowboys with my brother, Leo?
My man. Love, man.
All right.
Go.
Subscribe to our daddy's YouTube channel. He's the best. Hit the like button, turn on the notifications.